President Donald Trump has taken military action that nobody saw coming this Christmas, and the whole world is talking about what happened in Nigeria. On Christmas Day, while many of us were celebrating with our families, the United States military launched 12 Tomahawk missiles at terrorist targets in Sokoto State, specifically hitting 2 terrorist enclaves in Bahuni Forest located in Tangaza local government area. This was not just any military operation. This was a statement from the Trump administration about how seriously they are taking the persecution and killing of Christians in Nigeria. Congressman Riley Moore came out strongly today to explain what President Trump is really focused on, and his words have been making waves across social media and news platforms. Moore appeared on Fox News and made it clear that the airstrikes were designed specifically to end what he calls the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. Now, this is important because for the past 2 Christmases, we have witnessed massacres of Christians in different parts of Nigeria during what should be the most peaceful and joyful time of the year. But this Christmas, Trump decided that instead of Christians being on the receiving end of violence, the terrorists would face American military power. What makes this whole situation even more interesting is that Moore emphasized repeatedly that these strikes were not done unilaterally by the United States. The American government coordinated with the Nigerian government to carry out these operations. This is a significant detail because it shows that both governments are now working together on this security challenge. Moore was very clear when he said that the strikes were done in coordination with Nigeria to help secure the country and end the slaughter of Christians. The congressman praised Trump for finally standing up to address this crisis that has been ignored for far too long by the international community. The statistics are absolutely shocking when you really think about them. According to official statements from Moore's office, more than 7,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria in 2025 alone. Let that sink in for a moment. 7,000 people. That means an average of 35 Christians are being killed every single day in Nigeria. These are not just numbers on paper. These are fathers, mothers, children, pastors, farmers, and ordinary people who are losing their lives simply because of their faith. The terrorist groups responsible include Boko Haram, ISIS West Africa, and Fulani militants who have been carrying out systematic attacks on Christian communities, particularly in northern Nigeria and the Middle Belt region. Moore explained that President Trump is totally focused on this issue and that the Christmas Day strikes represent a very good first step toward addressing the problem. The congressman has been one of the leading voices in the United States Congress advocating for persecuted Christians around the world, and he has made Nigeria a particular focus of his work. He introduced a resolution earlier this year drawing attention to these atrocities, and he has been pushing for Nigeria to be redesignated as a country of particular concern due to religious freedom violations. That designation actually happened, marking a reversal of the Biden administration's decision to remove Nigeria from that list back in 2021. The military operation targeted ISIS positions in northwest Nigeria, and Trump himself posted about it on his social media platform, describing the strikes as powerful and deadly against what he calls ISIS terrorist scum, who have been targeting and viciously killing innocent Christians. His post even included a pointed message saying, "Merry Christmas to all, including the dead terrorists," adding that there will be many more dead terrorists if the slaughter of Christians continues. This kind of direct and unfiltered language is classic Trump, and it signals that his administration is prepared to take further action if necessary. Now, here is where you need to make sure you are staying informed about these developing stories. So if you are getting value from this breakdown and want to keep up with important news affecting Nigeria and the international community, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now and turn on your notifications so you do not miss any updates. The reaction to these strikes has been mixed both in Nigeria and internationally. Some Christian leaders in Nigeria have welcomed the intervention, seeing it as long overdue international support for communities that have felt abandoned and unprotected. However, other voices have raised questions about the framing of the conflict purely in religious terms, pointing out that the security challenges in Nigeria are complex and involve factors like poverty, governance failures, climate change impacts on farming and herding patterns, and the proliferation of weapons. Some analysts have also noted that while ISIS operates in northwest Nigeria, many of the attacks on Christian farming communities have occurred in different regions, suggesting that the security landscape is more complicated than a single narrative might suggest. The Nigerian government's cooperation with these strikes is particularly noteworthy because it represents a shift in how the country is handling international pressure on the Christian persecution issue. For years, Nigerian officials have maintained that the violence is primarily about resources and land disputes rather than religion, but the coordination on these military strikes suggests an acknowledgement that the targeting of Christians is indeed a serious problem that requires decisive action. Just days before the Christmas strikes, there was another significant development that Moore was involved in. A Nigerian Christian farmer named Sunday Jackson was pardoned by the governor of Adamawa State. Jackson had been sentenced to death for killing a Fulani Islamic radical in self-defense during a confrontation at his home, and Moore had been campaigning for his release. The timing of that pardon and the subsequent military strikes suggests that there may be a new level of engagement between the American and Nigerian governments on these issues. Looking ahead, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has indicated that there will be more to come, suggesting that the Christmas Day strikes may just be the beginning of a broader campaign. The question now is whether this military approach, combined with diplomatic pressure, will actually reduce the violence against Christian communities, or whether it might create new complications in an already volatile security environment. For the families who have lost loved ones and the communities living in fear, any action that brings relief would be a welcome change after years of suffering that has felt invisible to much of the world. The international spotlight is now firmly on Nigeria, and what happens next will tell us whether Trump's promise to end the slaughtering of Christians will translate to lasting change on the ground.